GM. GM. Today's lesson is going to be about external validation. There was a post I put in my journal a while back, and a captain asked me to expand upon it. I'll link the post as well from Michael's journal, and it's about all the things that are destroying you and hindering your mission. So it's basically a list of all these traps that hold people back. You've got cheap dopamine, junk food, alcohol, social media, porn, instant gratification, negative thoughts. And then there's one, external validation. So external validation is where you're basically looking outside yourself for confirmation of who you are or what you're good at, right? Seeking approval from others. The problem is, you can never be happy, you can never be truly fulfilled if you're doing that. Because you're basing your own sense of self-worth, your own self-esteem, upon what other people think of you. And other people don't know you. They only know the facade that you put on. They only know what you show them. And their mind changes. Their opinion changes. Right? Just like yours does. Just like you don't think the way you thought a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I'm sure when you were a kid you liked fucking Action Man toys or Barbie. You don't like that anymore. And so to put your own sense of self-worth on the opinions of others, it's completely illogical. But we all do it. We are absolutely, every single one of us has done it at some point in our life. And, you know, how do you stop doing that? Because I think out of that list of things, right, out of the instant gratification, negative thoughts, social media, porn, cheap dopamine, junk food, alcohol. First of all, most of those are actually really simple to get rid of. Right? Social media, delete it. Porn, don't fucking go to the website. Cheap dopamine, that is both of those things. Junk food, again, discipline, basic discipline. Alcohol, again, basic discipline. Most of these things are actually easier to do because they involve not doing something. It's much easier to not do something because you literally just do nothing. Now, again, of course, it's not always simple. It's not always easy, right? Yeah. But it is. The only thing stopping you is what? Your inability to delay gratification. That's it. So, avoiding porn is simple. You simply don't watch it. But the external validation, much more difficult because many of us do this subconsciously. We're kind of programmed this way from being younger. This goes all the way generally from school, right? You want to fit in. You want to be considered cool. You want people to like you. So you're, misbehaving in class to try and look cool, or you're doing things because you think others will like it. Like, a lot of this gets ingrained in us at a very young age. And then you get out of school and into the world of work. And, this can have positive effects in certain ways. I know I certainly worked super hard when I was in sales, in my sales career. I worked super hard and I went over and above because I wanted the external validation of being the best. I didn't want to be second. I wanted to be the best salesman in the company. And part of that, most of it, was like a motivation I had inside me. I'm self-motivated. I want to do it for myself anyway. I don't want to feel like I'm a failure to myself. But absolutely, it was so I get the awards and my name up in lights and be on the leaderboard and be invited to the big events and the big award show and get up on stage in front of 1,000 people. All that shit feels good, right? And that's kind of the trap of it too. Because in some ways, it can propel you forward. That made me more money. I worked harder. That made me more successful. I progressed more in my career. But I think you need to balance that. Like, it's if that's the sole reason for you doing something, it's not healthy, right? I would not have done all that if first and foremost it wasn't making me money, getting me closer to my personal goals, and giving me progression. Regardless of the validation, right? And this is kind of the way you want to frame it. If there was no such thing as an award show, if there was no prizes, if there was no, oh, Michael, you're so great, if none of that was going to come, I still would have done the exact same thing. I still would have done the same job. Because first, it was about the money. Second, it was about the career, the path, right? Me doing something valuable and worthwhile with my time. And the third part of it was the ability to learn a new skill, sales. So maybe fourth on that list was getting recognized for it. So you need to be careful with things you're doing that don't have tangible payoffs, right? If you're doing something that provides financial rewards and inner self-actualization, right? The feeling of feeling good because you're getting better at something. This is very much like trading. Almost nobody knows I trade. I don't tell people I trade. You've probably heard me say this. Like when I see random people on the street or I meet someone at a party, someone I don't really know, I just tell them I do marketing or something. I don't want validation. I don't care. I have zero desire for anyone to know what I'm doing, be involved in any way. I don't care. And that's been really powerful. And it's something that I've known because as a trader, you can only go by yourself. You can only walk your own path. You can have support networks. That's what the real world's so good for. You can share, you can learn from me, learn from other students. All of that is absolutely true and amazing. But when it comes down to it, right, the path is walked by you and you alone, and you don't need anything external. No one's going to come and save you in the market. It's all you. And you should not be trading so that you can say, oh, look what I did. Now, this aligns very closely with something like sharing wins. Sharing wins is not about seeking external validation. At least it shouldn't be. Because that leads to ego. That leads to actually very destructive tendencies where you get caught up too much in who you are and what your opinion is, and you're stopping the path of trading. You're not focused on the trading. You're focused on the, I'm so good, I'm right, I want to have a reputation, I want to be considered to be smart, whatever that may be. None of that serves you. And I've been there. Absolutely. Believe me, I've been there. And all it does is take your eye off the ball. All it does is put you into a place where you have to defend positions, defend opinions, live up to some imaginary expectation in your own head because you've put it out there for other people. And it will make you a worse trader. It will absolutely make you a worse trader. 100%. So, where do we square this circle about trading wins? Trading wins should be shared. Absolutely. I always want them shared to show process. This is why I don't go around congratulating people on how many dollars they've won. I don't care. I do not care how many dollars you've won if you don't explain it. If you put up a screenshot saying, I made $5,000 this week, it means nothing to me. Unless you say, I made $5,000 this week, here's the trade I took, here's the process I built, here's the thesis I have, here's the risk I was taking, here's the reward, and you explain it, boom, love it. But it's not about the amount of dollars you make. It's about the plan and the process behind it, which is why a trading win from somebody who's dollar trading with $1 risk and a proper process and a thesis is more valuable than someone just saying, I made 10 grand. Both are great, by the way, right? It's great to follow your process and it's great to win money. But if you're just posting something in the wins about, I made all this money, and you don't explain why, you're looking for external validation. Why are you coming in to just flex? Because you're not really flexing. You're just posting something and you're not giving any context behind it. Again, the best wins, I'll shout him out, Jack, a recent one. Jack started my campus with $500 and has over 100K now through a combination of hard work outside the markets, right, working in his family business and running it and developing it and getting paid, and trading and investing along the way over a course of 2 years to build $500 into 100K. And every now and then he'll check in with me and he'll give me an update. Very, very infrequently, every few months. And he posted the other day in the chats about it. And I shouted him out on the stream for hitting that big, big target from $500, 3 figures to 6 figures. Huge. And absolutely nothing about that was for external validation. It was his path that he walked, a hard path, a long path, a path that was not simple. And it was about, look how far I've come from doing the right things, the process I followed, the person I'm becoming. Right? You see that, how that's different to, oh, look how much number of dollars I made, which could have just been a gamble, right? So getting confirmation you're on the right path, getting advice about where you're going, and mindlessly looking for approval, they can sort of cross over. And you have to be aware of this. You have to be careful with it, right? Because one person could say, I'm just looking for advice, Michael. Am I on the right path? Another person could say, look how much money I made. And both are basically the same thing to the naked eye. Both of them are saying, look, I made 5K. But if it's I made 5K because I did this, and this, I did it over the past 6 months, I had this plan, I had this process, had this saving, scaling, growing it, versus, here's my screenshot. One person is looking for honest feedback on their path, their process, and the other person is just trying to get validation. They want someone to say, well done, you're so good, look at you, aren't you great? That's not the point. That's not the point. I want to hear about your processes, your thesis, your wins. If it's dollars, great. But explain why. If you have a $1 trade, but it's a 10-hour winner, and it's one you planned, and you set up, and you took the trade, and you followed your process, and you compounded it, and you got in at the best possible point, got out at the best possible point on your system, I want to hear about that. Perfect. It's exactly what I'm saying. So I'm actually glad I did this lesson, because it was only when my captain pointed out to me, out of that, that post that I shared, this is by far the greyest area. Everyone knows you shouldn't eat junk food. Everyone knows you shouldn't drink alcohol to excess, right? Nothing wrong every now and then. Everyone knows you shouldn't be addicted to social media. Everyone knows you shouldn't watch porn. Everyone knows you shouldn't think negative thoughts. They don't empower you. Everyone knows you should delay gratification. But that external validation is a really tricky one, because there are times when it's needed, and there are times when it's deserved, and there's times when it's not being sought out. But most of the time, just be mindful. Think of the things you do, right? How do you post in the chats? How do you talk to your parents? How do you talk to friends? How do you talk to teachers in school? How do you talk to colleagues at work? How do you talk to your boss? How do you post online, whether it's in here or elsewhere? How do you behave in public? I want you to, literally, all those things I just said, think about them, and then think, am I doing this for me, or am I doing this for the approval of others? If you find that you're doing too many things for the approval of others, you need to stop that, seriously assess it, and make sure that what you're doing in the future is for you. Because it's only you at the end of the day. It has to be you, your family, your mission, your legacy. Not just, I want XYZ person to like me.